So a little thing I noticed that most of you have a hard time with is actually being with your sexuality. Does this ring a bell? So a little thing I can speak about in regards to this is around the fact that we live in a world where we have learned that sexuality is something which is kept to the bedroom or to our own room, locked. The purification of our sexuality, it's like it's a big thing for us. And simply because we have learned all the way from the beginning, most of us have never had a proper reflection of the okayness of our own sexuality. And if we weren't met in a proper way, and I'm not meaning an excessive way or a retracted way, because they're both off, but just in the relaxed way. With that, when we grew up, then we've made all sorts of little around that. So you see, if we unbutton these things, if we unbutton these aspects of ourselves, which believes in the lockdown of this part of ourselves, then we can, as consciousness, exhale down into the bottom of our body, properly relax ourselves into the creative force, the creational force. You see, that's at the core of the sexuality, right? So to the extent that we are doing like that up from the bottom line, that also has a lot to do with our misperceptions of ourselves as whole, loving, beautiful, sexual beings. So what happens when we reapproach this? When we reapproach this, we will meet all of that fear, which is connected with the identity we built around the locking in of a free holding of ourselves as that sexuality. So for us to be able to come back into a deep rest as that, we need to bring our courage of resting all the way to the bottom, to bring that in everywhere. Can you imagine that? That also means, I just want to make clear that the resting in the sexuality isn't something. It's only to the extent that we allow for this entrapment and the contraction around our sexuality to count. When that is the case, we make twists off on our sexuality. Then all of a sudden sexuality is something. But when sexuality isn't something, when we dissolve the identity around the sexuality, then that which is left is simple well-being all the way to the bottom. It's a bottom line bliss, I could say. Right? So we actually need to meet this part also on our journey. And we simply need to do that for the simple reason that when we allow ourselves to relax down into that opening of that sexuality, then all of the misunderstandings around ourselves as the creational force, or even as human beings in relationship to the creational force, that disappears. And then sexuality, it isn't actually something. It's a natural state of being. Like the meeting with God is deeply sexual, but it isn't like something. It doesn't have an opposition. Because when you are that through all of your being, then that makes everything that you are engaged in and with a part of that. Is like that part of you gets to meet whatever you're dealing with. And then it's just a part of you that is with you also. So all of the shame and the guilt and all of these twists we have on top of the sexuality, they create, and this is, I'm talking about one of the strongest, no, scratch that, the strongest challenge in your dissolution of identity. Because the twist that you have around your sexuality is actually, that is what's creating this, the addiction energy, the addictive part of you. Because it's a twist away from your own life as creational force. So then you can get addicted to things as if you need them, while actually all of those addictions are happenings on top of the twist of the contraction away from your own life.